Umming.
Umming.
It's making me hungry.
Oh. I
Cool
hope my
beans.
dog doesn't bark while I'm talking.
I hope they do. I like it when the dogs bark, the kids go nuts.
Gary Keller, we were talking last week, he had a dog. I can't remember what its name was, but it started barking while he was talking.
I think Gary Keller's dog is called Lead Gen.
Yeah, that's about it.
Or I'm still getting the echo.
I guess he's got to be on here, hey?
He's special.
Umming.
Corey Ogden.
Corey Ogden. How come you don't have any nifty music playing, Ron?
I will in a minute. At 11 o'clock, we got a minute to go. This is preview time.
Does that say COVID day 50?
COVID day 50, man. I did the math.
Woo!
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Aaron Mackay. Can you guys hear the echo, or is it just me?
I can hear it.
Cool. Hashtag deal with it. Hashtag more voices in your head, the merrier. It might not actually be an echo. It might just be,
No, I can hear it
COVID
too.
brain. Naomi's here.
Hi.
No.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, apparently there's a weekly update. Just get the notification. Cool. I like it. How is our week going? We feeling more? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. We're going to start just for fun because we're consistent that way.
Because we said we would.
Because we said we would. Because it's 11 o'clock and we had an appointment at 11 o'clock.
Is Josh on?
No talking through the intro.
Oh, sorry. There he is.
All right. Again, HBO still hasn't called, so what the heck? So here's where we are. We thought we'd give it a bit of an update on kind of the state of the union, state of the world. So globally, as of this morning, like half an hour before this call, we're over 3.7 million cases of coronavirus, over a 250,000 fatalities now, and 1.2 million people have recovered. I think too often we're focusing on the amount of cases, we're focusing on the amount of fatalities and people in the hospital, and we're not talking about the recovery. So it's got a high recovery rate, which is awesome, right? Hey, Alman, if you want to mute my main screen, that'd be really cool. So I don't have to get other thing. Or not. All right. So here's the reality, though. Lysol is still not effing mouthwash. Don't do that. We have reached the end of the internet for most people, so it's time to get a book, go outside, maybe start a diet. I started mine today. Actually, Bobblehead Ron is starting his today.
Hi,
Not me.
Bobblehead Ron.
He's already skinny. Thank you.
Is he wearing a mask?
He's wearing a mask. Yes, he's practicing his PPE. So if you reach the end of the internet, it might be time to get back to business. Just maybe a suggestion. Here's where we are in BC. So new cases are down. There's very few COVID patients in ICU, which is really, really cool. Measures are working, and we're actually looking at getting back to business and reopening the economy. That's a good thing. That makes your jobs way easier. So that's pretty cool. So and there's actually an announcement from Ms. Henry today at noon. So right after this meeting, feel free to log on to TV after I just told you to get off the internet. Good job. All right. So that means that we have done the good job of flattening the curve. so that we were, the protective measures, the shutting down the economy a lot. And basically the social distancing and spacing is working and people are paying attention. So being respectful going forward of reopening the economy means we're going to have to, it's still not business as usual. I heard this morning that, don't plan a trip to Italy over the summer. It just ain't going to happen. Hopefully we can go to Blaine because I got parcels down there. Lots of parcels. Disney doesn't ship to Canada. Anyway, that means we're doing a good job. Thank you, Aman. What that also means, like on a day-to-day basis, we can go get a haircut maybe. Hashtag happy baby snips. We may be able to go sit on a patio outdoors. Hashtag feed me outside. And Terry can finally get her toes done. So hashtag Terry's toes gone wild. That's an actual picture of Terry's toes. So just if you see her wearing sandals, just stay. And again, with the social distancing, it works because you get too close, you can lose an ankle, right? So anyway, hashtag Terry's toes gone wild. That's gonna
Wait, Amon muted me. That wasn't fair. Those aren't my toes. Okay.
Ron, you gotta share your screen again.
I gotta share my screen again?
Yeah.
Dang it. Hold on, people. What'd you do? What'd you do to me, Emma? You removed me from the meeting.
You gotta turn your speaker off on the computer. That's what was coming through.
All right, hold on. Technical difficulties. There we go. Present. How are we looking so far? What the heck is going here? My entire screen. That one. Share. And slideshow from current slide. And we're back with Terry's toes. Good. So there we go. How is that? It's live TV. The fact that I did that in less than like 20 seconds, I think is pretty darn impressive because I'm not the tech guy. Cool. So what that means for us, for you guys as real estate agents, keep calm and sell real estate. We had our admin meeting this morning. The loop is going freaking nuts. And everybody likes a nutso loop. So call it a fruity loop if you want to. I could have gone other weirder places. It also means that we also need to be very respectful as we reopen the offices. Posted a video on the cafe group yesterday. We are working to getting back to full service and full staffing in the offices. We need to adjust where some bodies sit so that we can respect social distancing. This is a moment where you really need to not concentrate on how you feel about stuff, but how everybody else feels about stuff. Because just because you're okay and think, the sun's shining and we're getting outside and we're going to go eat in restaurants, do all that kind of stuff, the person beside you might be freaking them out. So because you're within their 6-foot bubble. So the big reason is we don't want this thing to escalate again, so that we got to shut down the economy again, because that would really, 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 really suck. Just be respectful of other people's guidelines, no matter what your belief is. If you think this was, caused in a lab and it's a big conspiracy and there actually isn't one, that's awesome. That's your opinion. Feel free to keep that to yourself and respect everybody else. It's a nice way to say it, I guess. So here's the deal, though. We have reopened like Laura's sitting outside at the office. I'm in the office right now. Reception, the phone's working. The conveyancing team is still working remotely with Jesse's popping in, Carlos popping in, Naomi's popping in, Terry's popping in. We're popping in, popping out. It's all good. You will find little feet on the floor. You don't have to stand on the feet and you don't have to jump from foot to foot. I tried that. I could not make it. It's a long distance and one's around a corner. They're there to remind you just to stand 6 feet away from the reception area. When you have clients coming in, please let them know that they need to be respectful too. We're looking at possibly creating a guideline sheet that you can hand out to your clients. I think they'll appreciate that too, to make sure that they know that they're in a safe environment and that we're taking this seriously. So we're wiping stuff down on a regular basis, making sure that it's clean. There's hand sanitizer. There's a disinfectant spray. Don't drink that either. Don't drink the hand sanitizer. It's for your hands. External only, no matter what the orange guy down south says. All right. Here's the reality of what came out. The April stats just came out. So obviously April numbers were down for Metro Vancouver. I'm talking to the Metro Vancouver slides. I didn't have access to the Fraser Valley stuff yet. So home sales were down, prices were up. Figure that out. But here's the reality. Home sales were down 39%. And I gotta say, for everything that you guys are putting up with on how to do a listing, how to do an open, how to do an inspection, how to do a how to, right? That's not that bad, because I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be doom and gloom. I know Bobblehead Ron was very pessimistic about the market. So 40% in Metro Vancouver. It's actually, when you look at the stats, it's a little better for where we are in Poco, Maple Ridge, Surrey, because we're out in the metro area where people want to live because there's yards and squirrels are frolicking in the woods and stuff, right? So for Metro Vancouver, detached houses, 3,863 listings, 388 sales. Townhouses, 1,481 listings, active listings, 218 sales. Active listings for apartments, 4,000 apartments in downtown Vancouver, in Metro Vancouver, 503 sales. So what I would take from this is people are still out there buying and selling real estate. People still need to buy and sell houses. That's why it's an essential service. Go get your unfair share. Just say it. It's a good idea. So I just want to recognize that I know you're feeling a little frustration out there, probably, and the things you've got to adjust to. I think you guys are doing a good job of bouncing and rolling, by the way. So congratulations. Golf clap. May is now International Pull Your Hair Out Month. So if you're feeling like pulling your hair out, it's internationally endorsed. So that's fantastic. Nice to have recognition. And again, keep calm, sell real estate. Reach out to your client base. Be respectful of your other agents. Be respectful of what they're doing in the economy, where they are in the marketplace. I know a lot of people have gone out and got a nighttime job or a daytime job or just watching Netflix full time, whatever that is. Some people look like they become professional cooks online. It's all good. And eventually you have to get back into the habit of doing real estate. So if you were on the Bold Pivot call yesterday, holy crap. I was a little pessimistic, I got to say, about the format of an online Bold, because one of the things that I've always appreciated about Bold is sitting in a room with a bunch of people. And you find that you get the opinions of the 40 to 80 people who are in your Bold. The online format for Bold Pivot was absolutely freaking amazing, because you see the chat box, literally 40,000 people in a Facebook group sharing their ideas globally. People from Spain, people from Mexico, people from France, people from the United States of America, people all the way from Ontario. It was cool. And you got a much broader perspective. And if you were like me, you automatically felt like an underachiever, because people were saying that they were lead generating 7 days a week, 8 hours a day during this, so that they can take advantage of the marketplace. So that's your new benchmark. If you're not lead generating 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, what you doing? Just saying. Anyway, so some of the questions that came up, what can I control in your environment? What can you control? You can control your lead generation time. You can control your calendar. You can control how you work your database. You can control your hours in the day, basically. What can't you control is the other question. You can't control the economy. You can't control a virus. I got to say, you can't control the guy in the Oval Office down south. And what am I seeking to control that I can't? And that's where you're frustrated. I know that's where my frustration comes from. I'm trying to control my family and they won't frickin' listen to me. Come on, take out the garbage, kid. You've been home for 3 months. Or actually not even 3 months, a month. So yeah, trying to control the things that you can't have control of. You can't control your clients. You can keep in touch with them. You can't make people buy and sell houses. You can guide them, you can advise them, and you can give them a push in the right direction. You can't control their actions at this point. And what could I control that I'm not? And for most people, myself included, it's lead generation, right? What am I doing that I'm not? I should probably eat less Twinkies. Just saying, I'm going to go on an all Twinkie diet actually starting today. Twinkies and bourbon. It's got to be good for you. Maybe bourbon-filled Twinkies. It's a marketing idea there. So if there are things in your environment, if you find yourself spending way too much time watching Netflix, surfing the internet, as opposed to lead generation and reaching out to your database, or reading a book that's positive as opposed to something that's not, or trolling Facebook, focus on the activity. Ask yourself that question: what could you be doing in your business? What could you be doing in your life right now that's going to be more positive for your future and the future of your family? Okay, cool. All right. Woo. And when all else fails, leads, listings, and leverage. It's still in the crystal ball. It's kind of cool. All right. I mentioned bold pivot in the shift. Here's the reality and the power of bold. So there are roughly 41,000 people registered for bold now. Out of our office, we have 85. We are in the top 50 of all KW. So good job. Way to participate. If you haven't registered, still do it. Not joking. It started yesterday. The classes are recorded. It is the top bold coaches. Cody Gibson's on there. We've got agents from every real estate company across the planet attending bold. The Compass guys are down there going, I'm from Compass. I'm from Remax. It's pretty fun. So the goal for this is 40 touches a day. If you're in bold pivot, your guideline is 40 touches a day. 20 voice, 20 text. They have to be two-way communication. So just to do the math, I rounded it up, but I rounded it down, I think. That's 1.6 million touches per day, or 11.2 million touches per week, or 36.8 million for the term of bold, right until May 28th. So if you're not reaching out to your database, I will guarantee you one of those people are. 41,000. It's pretty cool. That's the power of bold. And it just focuses your attention on doing the activities that you should be doing. And you know you should be doing them. Just focuses and makes you feel a little better about doing the things you should be doing in your business. And you're not alone. Right? Cool. So register. Same questions. Look after yourself as you're ramping your business back up and getting back into the day-to-day activities of real estate. Coming by the office, saying hi from 6 feet away. We look forward to seeing your smiling faces from 6 feet away. Ask yourself how you're doing. What do you need to ramp yourself back up? What's your biggest challenge right now? How are you going to overcome that? Do you need help? Do you need a coach? Do you need a conversation? I had a fantastic conversation with Carly Monrad in the office yesterday, and she's like, "This is the first adult conversation I've had in weeks," because she's surrounded by babies, and that happens. So you just want to talk about, when we used to watch sports, the NFL might be coming back. No fans, but anyway, pretty cool stuff. How can you overcome that? What do you need? And what help do you need? That comes back into the coaching, back into the conversation, back into, if you just need to vent, use my cell number. I'll just put you on speaker and walk away. Be all good. Cheers. All right. Command. We've got the contest going on. My apologies. I wanted to have a list of people who have over 100 contacts in Command. We're gonna enter you in for a Visa card, so get that in. We're gonna end that the end of May, so you've got till the end of May to get 100 contacts in Command. Start playing with this thing. It is getting fun and funky. There's a lot of really cool tools within Command when you start diving in and playing with it. Once you start playing with designs, once you start playing with opportunities, it's gonna be slick. It's slick right now. It's gonna be more slick. If you want to start promoting your business, there's a $25 credit available for Facebook ad promotion. So when you run a campaign through Command, and nice and simple to do, I put one together in about 6 minutes yesterday, just using a standard template. And when you spend $75, you get a $25 credit back. So that's a pretty cool deal. And by the way, lead generation through campaigns in Command, averaging between, the lowest I've heard is 18 cents up to $2 if they're doing a lot of promotion on a broader scope. So, if you were in the States promoting through Zillow, where they're charging you $25 to $50 a lead, or you're paying for lead generation through another provider, that's really cheap way to build your business. And the better you get at it, the more practice you have, the better better off you're going to be, right? Cool. Red Day. We launched it yesterday. So it's starting now to May 14th. Here's what we're doing. We've got the donation page, the GoFundMe page, and the email that Carla sent out for No Empty Tummies. Please be generous. Send that out to your client base. It's a great reason to go out and contact people. People want to give back right now. People want to be connected. People want to start participating. So send that out. Give them a call saying, hey, I'm sending you a link. The option 2, pick something. We've got a sign-up sheet. Everybody has access to that sheet now. If you didn't log on with your KW email, then you didn't have access. But I sent it out to everybody this morning and shared the document with your email that is on file with the office. So you're welcome. Y'all got an email. So all kinds of opportunities for you to just do what you want to do. Involve your families. Involve your friends. Just make it fun from 6 feet apart. Make it fun and respectable. I honestly believe that we could have the biggest participation ever for Red Day because we're not required to get in a car, drive somewhere, pick up a shovel. I was going to say pick up a hoe, and then I would have made a joke, but I'm not going to do that. Pick up a shovel. We don't have to do that stuff. You can go paint your neighbor's house. Maybe let them know you're doing it first. But, there's lots of things you can do just looking around your community. It's literally the topic this year should be random act of kindness, random act of community, whatever you want to do. Bring people along. If you've got something you're passionate about, this is your opportunity. Cool. And I recommend you do both. I don't care if it's $10 or 10,000. Donate to No Empty Tummy, No Hungry Tummies. They're a fantastic program. All right. So here's your homework, your COVID-19 emergence plan. Yep, we're talking about getting back. So call your clients, 40 touches a day. Even if you're not a Bold Pivot, I highly recommend you do that because someone else is going to do it. Register for Bold Pivot and do the work, as Gary Keller will say. And we have some amazing guests this afternoon, or this morning. Terry Spilsbury, her and I both had at different times had the opportunity to spend 5 to 6 hours online with Gary Keller last week, which is pretty freaking amazing. Gary Keller, this is the guy who runs your company. He ran 5 sessions of 5 to 6 hours each last week with everybody in leadership through the organization, from regional directors all the way through to lowly TLs. That's pretty impressive leadership and dedication to helping us have the tools we need. We got access to that because we were in the top 200 market centers in all of Keller Williams. So, yay us. So Terry's going to share some of that. And then we have Renee Sandu on the line. Right, Renee? He's out there somewhere. And Michael, Renee had a fun experience that he went through recently that he thought you'd all benefit from. So thank you for sharing. Right? Cool. We're all going to be smarter and smarter. Next piece of homework, get into command, surround yourself with positive people, sign up for Red Day and donate, participate, and call your mom. Sunday is Mother's Day. If you forgot, you're welcome. I stole that from Phil Legree. Call your clients and remind them it's Mother's Day. That's a great idea. Call them on Friday, though, so they got time to go shopping. All right? So go find the motivated, go find the opportunity, get back in the habit. And now, Josh and Terry and Michael and Renee. All right, cool.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I unmuted myself.
Yeah.
Hi, Joshy.
Hello. Let's start with Renee, if we could. Sorry, Terry.
Yes.
Michael, I'm gonna ask Renee a few questions. No doubt there's going to be some responses that are going to be most ideally suited for you to reply to. So I'll just stand back and facilitate if that's all right.
That's fine.
Renee.
Yes, how you doing?
I'm well. Why are you on this call right now?
Well, I had a unrepresented party last year on a deal of mine. I had an anonymous complaint to the superintendent of real estate that I acted as a limited dual agent. And so they investigated that, and we went through a couple of weeks of not too much sleep.
Just a couple weeks?
It was pretty quick, 2.5 weeks or so. Yeah.
So anonymous, which is obviously always puts you in a rather helpless position because there's no way for you to clean it up with the person that made the complaint. Now you just have to face whatever's coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did the council get a hold of you?
They phoned me.
Straight up?
Yeah, they straight up phoned me, and I was a little bit weary because it came up as a private number. And so I wasn't too sure. So they sent me an email. I responded to that, and we had a brief conversation. And I spoke to a lady by the name of Finn at the office of superintendent's office of real estate. And it was a decent conversation. But the fact that I was being investigated for it was a little bit worrisome to me. But yeah, that's how it started.
So after you got that call and that email, who at our office was the first person you called?
I think it was Terry that I called right away.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I think I CC'd Terry, God, I can't remember, Carla, Naomi, maybe Ron on an email.
Okay.
I forwarded the email that I received from the office of the superintendent of real estate. Yeah.
And then what happened next? How did the office get behind you and support you on this?
Josh, I think it's important to say that the superintendent of real estate, I guess, shares the responsibilities of investigating realtors on behalf of the public. So when council needs the assistance, they will reach out to the superintendent of real estate, because I know I've never received a call before from them. So I asked about that, and it's because they share that duty of protecting the public.
Right. Yeah, good point. It's important to note that council and superintendent are technically separate in this scenario, right? So talk about the support. Like, what actually happened? Who were the players in our office that came in and helped you? What needed to be done?
So they needed the file to be sent to them right away, basically outlining the whole deal, and that was done right away. And this lady by the name of Finn started the investigation after that. So I asked a ton of questions when I did receive this call as to how they do investigate and what the process is. And so our office sent the information to them right away, and I was told 7-10 days I should get a response.
Yeah. Michael, does that sound about right to you? 7 to 10 days for a response back on this?
I would say this is kind of unknown territory. I mean, previously we've never been contacted by the superintendent's office, and I think, was it last year, the superintendent's office and the council were at odds with each other.
Mm-hmm.
The superintendent asked the council to investigate something. They said we already have, and we're not going forward with it. And the superintendent's office said you have to. So they had a bit of a dispute there. So this is unproven ground. This lady investigator, Finn, also called me as well in regards to it. Again, it's an unknown number. You don't want to talk too much because you really don't know who this person is.
Right.
So they sent me an email as well in regards to the file. And we went from there.
So what I also did, and I think one of the reasons that it went a little bit quicker than usual, because at first she told me it could take a few weeks, a month or so even. I harassed her a little bit. I wanted to get this resolved as quick as possible. And so I did, I think, probably 3 or 4 follow-up emails to find out what was happening. And so that might have lit a bit of a fire for her to...
It definitely did, because typically it can take up to a year or even 2 years for me to hear back on council complaints. Once they make the request for the brokerage files, it can take a really long time for it to finally be reviewed and decided on and for us to get a response. So Renee was very responsible and very much cared about clearing this matter up quickly.
Absolutely.
Terry's right. It's, you know, the fact that it was cleared as quickly as it was is unheard of in my mind. What made the difference in getting this cleared, do you think? Was there notes taken? Was there anything that was organized in a way that was helpful? Like what was it?
Paperwork was in order.
Yeah.
You know, it was all, I've been doing this for 9.5 years now. And so ban on limited dual agency. So I had a lot of situations where I acted with unrepresented buyers, acted as a limited dual agent. When the new rules came along, I investigated right away to find out what needs to be done, because in the Fraser Valley, we get a lot of people that are buyer savvy and they don't want to be represented. And so we basically, when the rules changed, looked at how do we protect ourselves going forward, because I knew this was going to happen, that I was going to have unrepresented buyers and people that just didn't want any representation. And so it was a matter of really looking into what, in regards to paperwork, needs to be done. And then there's a ton of other stuff besides just the paperwork you need to have in place to cover yourself in these kinds of situations, I feel.
Could you give some examples? Because our agents are going to run into this, and what would you say that you documented in your file that was helpful?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't recommend that anybody does it if they're slightly inexperienced, if they don't know their paperwork in and out, if they have any doubt whatsoever, because this scared me, and I knew my paperwork was in order, and I knew that there was no issue with the seller or the buyer, but this is my livelihood. I feed my kids with this and only this. this is my full-time job. Just having the risk of my license being at risk was something that definitely made me lose sleep. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. But what I did was I made sure that, all the disclosures were signed off properly. Everything was done in a timely fashion. Information was then whatever the buyer had signed off on was quickly emailed to them. I kept records of texts and was in my text, as per our conversation, you choose to be unrepresented, so on and so forth, just to cover me. And that's the same thing with emails, and that's buyer and seller, because let's just say, and this is a pretty large deal. Let's just say that 2 months down the road after this deal, completed, that this property value increased a lot. What if I had an upset seller and they said, you know what, you double-ended the deal and now it's worth more? I'm unhappy. If I didn't have everything in order with emails, texts, not just the paperwork that we're required to have, then I could put myself in a position.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of inherent risks. What are your thoughts on what should be recorded as well too, Michael, in addition to what Renee's just shared?
I think it's extremely important. It's so easy as the time elapses when you're working on a transaction to kind of forget to document the emails, the text messages, and all the conversations you've had with say the other realtor, or in this case, a buyer and seller. And I think those are probably critical to this complaint not going forward. I don't think it's one thing to have all the right paperwork, but I really think when you see the gist of the text and the emails that transpired, that really kind of solidifies the fact that he wasn't acting as a dual agent.
Yeah.
The superintendent of real estate was really impressed, I have to say. She made mention of the fact of how organized Renee's files were and how quickly we all responded to emails. She was over the moon about how efficient our office was, and because I get requested to send the brokerage files in and anything that we've got on the deal from the brokerage side. And she was floored, especially during this time. She expected it to go even slower than usual, and we were faster than anything she's dealt with. So kudos to our girls for keeping great paperwork, to Renee for being very organized, and for documenting everything. So
And all it
that
would
was
have
the big
taken
piece.
for this investigation to have gone further would have been our office not in a timely fashion responding to them or giving them proper paperwork, or that kind of a lapse could, or my response to them and dealing with them, all of it, anything in there could have been an issue for them to investigate further. And so it was, I was another reason I'm glad to be with you guys. No doubt about it.
Thanks, Renee, for that. Terry, this question's for you. You've certainly had experience defending agents before, and certainly representing them on the side when counsel's calling, or not so much superintendent. But was your experience with Finn, by the sounds of it, was it a comfortable experience? Did you, or did it feel adversarial?
Oh, Joshy. No, it's not comfortable. I've never received a call from the superintendent of real estate. So we're very compliant in our office. A lot of our realtors think that we're here to nag them, and we're not. Your license is so important to us. And one thing a lot of agents don't know is that when you're written up or there's a complaint against you, it also goes against the brokerage, which is my license and Michael's license. So we take it really seriously. And I was scared. I'll be honest. I was scared for Renee. Renee was, this is what he does for a living. This would have affected him, his family, all of it. And I know he's a good guy who's compliant and does all the right things. And even still, I was scared because it feels like the control's now handed over to someone who doesn't know you or doesn't know your practices, and they're making decisions on your life. So it was super scary, and you don't want to be there. Trust me, you don't want to be there. But we haven't been written up we have never been written up in 11 years, and I'm holding to that. And Renee dealt with it really, really well. And to know that he put it in my hands and trusted that I had his back was a big deal, because some agents will kind of try to interfere, and not because they're bad, but because they really want to get in there and start communicating in between it all. And he kind of at least trusted me and knew that I had it, and that I told him flat out, I think Renee can attest to this, if you go down, I'm going down with you, and I'll go down fighting. So
Those are exact words.
mhm.
Michael, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, obviously this investigation was perpetrated by the superintendent's office, but my fear right now is the fact that we have all these laymen now investigating the real estate industry that really don't understand it. So that scares me as well, when we have these people that they're not uneducated, but they're not from this walk of life.
Yeah.
And we don't know how they're going to react in regards to the scope of where an investigation might go.
Exactly.
Another
uncertain.
Another aspect of this that to a degree, I'm annoyed by it. Really, the complaint didn't come from either the seller or the buyer. The complaint came from an anonymous person who gets to hide behind a veil, and you actually don't know who this person is, whether this person was even trying to show the property or even connected in any way. It could just be someone who has a vendetta on anytime they see a double ender on MLS or trolling through MLS and saying, I'm going to make an anonymous complaint. But you never really get to know, like, what facts are they presenting to superintendent or the council when this shows up. It's really frustrating for me.
It is, and thankfully they take our track record with them into it. So if there ever is any doubt, we have such a great track record with council. Our agents do as well, that that does play into it. So good job, you guys, and keeping clean and all that kind of stuff. So that helped. But yeah, it's scary. Renee has his guesses as to who it was. But you do never know, and they won't tell you. And I will tell you right now that probably 70% of the complaints that I'm getting through council, where they request the brokerage file, because there's been a complaint, what they do is they come to me first and say, can we have all the brokerage records on this deal? And then they review it. There's a group of people that review the files initially and decide if they're worthy of pushing forward to a claims representative at council. So and I bet about 70% of them right now, I'm getting a call right back saying you're fine on this, like, don't even.
Yeah. They don't necessarily want to waste their time, especially when a file like yours, Renee, is as organized as it is and supported with dialogue, text dialogue and email dialogue. Like, it's really, it makes things rather ironclad, which essentially, to toot the brokerage, which is really what, I mean, Renee, this may be your standard business practice. So I don't want to imply that this came from us, but from a brokerage perspective, when Terry says we're fastidious when it comes to the details of the paperwork being handed in along the way, it really is designed to help raise the standard and the bar of your standard business practice should one day council or superintendent come knocking on your door, because you just never know. Anonymous tips and you just never know. So it's better to practice your business that way and never have to worry when it does happen.
Do every deal as though there's going to be a complaint coming in on it. That's what
Absolutely.
I can tell you.
Yeah. And I've been in brokerages that are, the paperwork's not in order and things are just all over the place, and that even if you have everything of yours in order, that can infect you negatively and make you become complacent. And so the brokerage being on our asses about paperwork, you thank them in the end.
Yeah. Hey, Renee, out of all of this, because no doubt anyone that's ever gone through your experience by way of call or a letter, a big giant envelope from council or superintendent, that's a stressful time. No, and you can't really relay that to people who haven't gone through it. But when you go through it, boy, it takes you out for a bit. Yeah. What would be your one takeaway, or one, like, hey, I learned something out of this? What would that be if there was one thing?
Yeah, I look at every situation regardless of how in order I think I have everything. There's always extreme ownership that needs to happen on everything I do. And so I look at it and say, what, if anything happened on here, what could have happened? So I had this buyer that said to me, I want the standard 5 clauses in there. and they said, X, 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 and X. And so what did I do? I said, no problem. I pulled it up from our KW clauses and added those in there. And in hindsight, what if this was a complaint by the buyer that I acted as a limited tool, and I pulled up those clauses? Well, that adds, fuel to the fire, and it makes me puts myself in a position where I could have been thrown under the bus right there. So definitely, I looked at it and said, there needs to be, if this is something that's going to happen again, it needs to be way more, I guess, transparent in some ways, where you have that person sign off or write, here's the clauses I want, and don't take them from the standard KW clauses that we have. Take it from the web forms clauses, the standard ones. Maybe even go a step further and have that person in your office with you, picking everything right there, and you're scrolling. What would you like to put in this? I don't know, something to that effect, just to cover your butts a little bit more. So I definitely learned to maybe even add some more to the practice of when it comes to the paperwork anyway.
Renee, thank you. Genuinely appreciate you sharing and being willing and open to be vulnerable under an experience like this. Some people might be somewhat shy, or you weren't, and I appreciate that. And the office benefits because of you doing that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Michael, to finish off what Renee just said, what would you recommend to that would find themselves in Renee's position when the buyer is saying, hey, provide me the standard 5 clauses?
You got to be really careful where that goes. I said it before, I'll say it again. I truly don't believe there are many people in the world that could be an unrepresented party. I mentioned, I think the last time we talked about this a couple weeks ago, the government's goal in this was, I wanted them to bring in mandatory buyer's agency. They didn't go that far, but at the same token, they want to see both sides represented independently.
Yeah.
Basically you have to put a blank contract in front of your unrepresented buyer and say, what do you want me to write on it? I mean, you may take an offer to your sellers that maybe isn't something that I would write, but if that's what they've told me to put on their contract and take it to my seller, then that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't for a second try to put myself in a position where I'm offering them, what I look at when I read the offer and it looks like it was written by a realtor.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, and that's where I think you can get yourself in a position of even creating agency by offering advice and guidance as they go through the process.
Okay.
A lot of realtors I've talked to, and some will and some won't, but a lot will not represent an unrepresented party. They will refer it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. I'm again, thank you for that. We're going to move to the next guest of honor today, Miss Terry Spilsbury.
Hi.
It's like mom being interviewed by dad. It's kind of cool.
That feels weird.
Is that because I'm about to turn 50? Thanks.
I'm already 50.
Yeah, you're my
You're
elder.
gonna go through changes.
Hey.
For those of you who have ever had the privilege of meeting Gary Keller live and in person and witness the way he interviews people and the way he shares his knowledge and speaks about the real estate industry and things that we should be doing as agents, you'd probably understand and really feel just what an immense privilege, and to a degree, a certain amount of weight and anxiety would be to be on a live call with Gary Keller. And Terry Spilsbury, simply by way of our company being as recognized as it is in the statistics amongst Canada, was one of the privileged very few to be on a call with Gary Keller and being able to listen to him and talk, that she is able to bring back that information she learned straight from our leader, Gary, and share it with us. And I have 3 pages of notes that she shared with us. And I just wanted to, first of all, bring Terry in on this and start asking questions. But the first one I'm going to ask you, Terry, is what was it like?
I knew you were going to ask that. It wasn't as scary as when Ron and I were on stage with Gary, that's for sure. Yeah, I actually tried to run away, and the stagehand had to bring me back because I was probably going to faint. Yeah. It was really cool. He was super cool. He was in his office, and he was really laid back, and it was like having a conversation, you know, with a friend who knows a lot of stuff. Very scary, but what a privilege to be able to pick his brain. And he was answering every question. So it was really, really, really cool. It continues with our culture of sharing, for sure.
Thank you. One of the things he said, or that you wrote down, was that he had said was the only way to predict the future is to shape it. And of course, we're in a crisis. In a crisis, you need to survive and thrive. What exactly does he mean by survive?
Well, first of all, in order to shape it, you have to be purposeful. And like Ron was saying earlier, it's all about focus on what you can do right now with the way things are, and not what you can't. You could focus all day long on our limitations right now in this industry and all around us. But to his point, he says, just make sure that you're focusing on what you can do. There's lots you can do. And you really need to get up and work, get up, get dressed, go to work. Whether that's in another room in your house, or you go into the office and plug in there for a little while, or wherever it is. Be safe, of course, but if you're not comfortable going out and working with clients right now, that's perfectly fine. But there's lots you can be doing on your business rather than, you know, asking for the next Netflix season, like what we should be watching. I'm just going to read from my notes here. He says to survive, be safe and do the work, which I just said. Margin to the market, which means your expenses should be matching your income. Don't go out spending right now. I know it's a great time to run out and buy all your gardening stuff and your DIY projects around the house, but he says don't do it. Unless it's meeting with what you're bringing in. He said stay connected, sales before service. So really just calling your clients and asking if they're okay. That could mean any number of things to anybody you ask. So just let them do the talking. I think it's important that he also mentioned here that you should make a list of the most important people to you in your business and the most important people to you in your personal life, and stay in touch with them. He said over communicating right now is not non-existent. I know Ron is saying where he's got, you know, he makes his calls and realtors typically will just be busy or on the fly. He's getting people to answer his calls right now. And people want to talk and they want to share where they are in all of this. So make sure you do that. He said to really double down on your lead gen. There's no reason right now why you can't be lead genning twice as much as you normally would. And you know, I encourage everybody to take on Ron's challenge of how many contacts, you know, a day that you can, what is it, Ron, 40? And to double down, he said, people are at home right now. Mail, if you can afford it, is great. People are not getting any mail. And Ron has said this too. So Ron's got a really big brain. But you know what? Hit their mailboxes. You don't have to see them. What's he doing? 40 contacts. Yeah, you know what? You can still go out and leave things on doorsteps and things like that. Little notes, handwritten cards. There's lots you can do, but stay in touch with your people, and to act like your business is an emergency room at a hospital, and that's that. You kind of mimic the same actions that you would in that situation, and you work with intensity. Monitor the vital signs of your business. You wouldn't typically, if you go into emergency, have your BMI checked or your cholesterol. He's saying pay attention to the numbers that matter. Watch those closely. Constantly communicate, and be flexible to change on the fly, because we're not necessarily in control of how this is all going. Be flexible when it does hit to, you know, bob and weave and do what you've got to do to keep your business moving forward, and work fast. there's a huge opportunity here. And Gary says, you know, like he didn't go too much into Canada when we were on the call, but he did say we're in a recession. He would almost consider it a depression actually right now. And he says, and once we have the testing equipment and the ventilators and everything we need to kind of, you know, do this, that it will move into a recession, and that definitely by next year, mid-year, it's going to be one of the best real estate markets we've ever seen. So prep for that. Prep the hell out of that.
You stole my thunder, Terry. I actually had that highlighted because that was such a powerful thing, but I like what you said around being purposeful. There's 3 things to do now to monitor vital signs in your business. So I know we've talked about this before, but what did it sound like when you were hearing it from Gary?
Well, he said that recession is another word for exposure, which means, and good or bad, this time we're in right now is going to expose where we're doing things right and where we could improve what we're doing. So to constantly be looking at what you can do, expose it all. I'm sure everybody can attest to this. I live alone, so not so much for me, but like relationships, it's going to expose the good and bad when you're at home with someone, you know, for 70 days in a row. And the same thing goes for your business. This is exposing all the cracks and all the things you're doing really well. So double down and pay attention to all that. And yeah, just mostly stay in touch. And it's also time to start shifting everything into getting back to work.
And getting back to work.
Safely.
Yeah. Mindset. Yeah. Did he touch on routine in life in general, like getting into a routine, falling out of routine? Did that ever come up?
Well, he said to make sure you get up like we aren't in this. Get up, get dressed, grab your phone, start answering your email, like go to work. Yeah. Go to work. And you don't have to physically go to the office, but go to work and start doing it. And he said the 3 things you need to do right now is to audit your expenses and trim off any fat. And that I did that with our offices too, I have to say. This isn't just for agents, it's for everybody. I took a look at our Visa statement yesterday and I made notes of every single thing being pulled off our Visa. We had a couple top producer accounts running that aren't being used. We let those go. Laura's doing such a fantastic job on our social media right now. I don't need to be paying a social media guy monthly. There are things that you can do, and as small as the amount might look on its own, when it's pushed together with everything else that you try to kind of trim off, it makes a huge difference. And it's good to do that, not just because of what we're in, but to do that anyway. Like we're kind of being forced into it right now, but do that anyway, almost on a quarterly basis. Take a look at the expenses that you're running to run your real estate business, and where can I trim the fat? He said to audit your processes, because processes are everything right now, and audit your capacity. Do I have the capacity right now that I need to keep rolling? So your systems right now, Gary's always talked in the MREA about a 33 touch program. He said people are doing it, 40, 50 times. They're actually increasing it right now. And so play with those ideas. I don't know how many of you do that type of lead gen, but double it up and see what it gets you. Tell your client.
Did we just lose Terry?
No, I got a call coming and I had to decline it.
Okay.
So yeah, trim the fat, audit your processes and audit your capacity. He said that the greatest risk right now for your business is not the quarantine. He said, now that our governments and our leaders have figured out that we know how to follow the rules of engagement for a crisis or a situation like this, whether it be health related or war or, natural disaster, whatever it looks like, we're going to be quickly put into this again if something else happens, when something else happens. So what you learn from this now isn't going to be useless in the future. So have a system around what you do in this situation.
100%. I noticed in your notes, and you might have touched on it, but forgive me if it's redundant. He talked about doubling down on education, or at least getting that. If you're not education minded, if you haven't been sort of tiptoeing around the idea of bold pivot, he didn't say that, but I am. He's saying education is a key component to this, in addition to know your capacity, trimming down your business, really knowing your process, right? Like how important how did he portray that in the conversation around education?
Yeah, he definitely said that if there's opportunities there for you to sign up for, and it wasn't just Bold Pivot, but Bold Pivot's huge. It's the biggest online presence for a course that's ever existed anywhere. So there's value there. And trust me, if Gary's behind it, it's going to be worth way more than $99 US. So if you can get one deal out of it, which I know you will, it pays itself off. He said to make sure that you're always honing your trade and looking for ways to better yourself in your business. And that being said, don't get caught in that where you're like, oh, I'm on another webinar. Oh, I'm on another Zoom call. And don't get busy being busy without purpose, because it's really easy for everybody to say right now that they're doing one more call or one more webinar, and they're not actually working. They're just constantly in that mode of taking it all in. But at some point, you've got to apply it and get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Actually, if I can add to that, when I was in the seminar business, we'd call you seminar junkies, right? So
yeah.
just people who would attend everything and implement nothing. They'd have all those nicely plastic wrapped CD sets, because we're old, on their shelf. And when you asked them, what was on the first page of the last book they bought, like they had no idea, but they had a full library. So yeah, you need to attend and then implement, and then figure out what the next step is, attend and implement. It shouldn't be rocket science. It's just,
It's not, and if any of you guys need a little nudge or need some help or need some direction, I've received some emails. I know Ron has, I know Josh does. We get lots of emails with people going, hey, I'm at this place right now and I kind of feel like I'm stuck. Like, what do you suggest are next steps? Ask for the help. We haven't been through this before, but we have been through a recession. Yes, we're that old. So we know how to help guide and get you kickstarted again into the right direction. And that's honestly, you're our clients. You guys are our clients, our customers, and we're here for you because of you. So if you need help, if you need accountability, if you need a tweak in your business plan, whatever it looks like, make sure you reach out and let us know. And if there's something you want to see in terms of an online class or anything that would help you right now, let us know that too. We want lots of feedback, and definitely we've got a large team here to help you guys get through this successfully. And I truly believe Gary's right when he says that 2021 and 22 are going to be the best years in real estate. So buckle up and get your unfair share. Go out there and do it.
Yeah, I would love to add just that. We're talking about reaching out to the database and maybe 40 contacts a day. For sure, that's a great goal, and I think well worthy. There's, in my experience, there's less noise around me now that has allowed me to go and do that kind of contact and client care connection. So it's actually been the connections have been far more meaningful. I'm not rushing off to appointments like I used to. I'm not moving around physically like I used to. So when I'm making these client care calls and client care texts, the two-way dialogue that I'm experiencing after I'd completed them has been unlike anything I had ever experienced in the past. And my own personal ability to just stay present in that communication was even better because I wasn't driving somewhere and, oh, there's a text and I'm watched. So in my mind, I feel like that is the one thing we can do is just reach out to the clients and ask them how they're doing. Yep. And it's worked really well for me. As we're here right now, I'm getting people that are replying back to me from text I sent out a couple of days ago. They're actually, like Ron said, they're home. Yeah. They're home right now. And so your text is going to be received, and in a great way, because you're probably the only realtor reaching out to them, and they're going to remember that. You'll be that one realtor name in their head. So brilliant. Yeah.
Asking them if they're okay. Are there any resources you need to be connected to in your community that I could help find you a link to or suggest? You're not coming at them to sell real estate right now, and maybe they need someone, but at the very least, we just want to help. And that's the culture of our company, is what can we do to help you and your family right now? Because we know that if we do that, we're in relationship with them, when they do need to sell, we're going to be top of mind, and that's all we can ask.
Clients will have questions about what's happening in the marketplace too. People who want to buy or sell,
Exactly.
buy or sell. They're just trying to time the market. It's a great opportunity for you to become the expert.
Yes.
Even if you're just quoting other people's information, you can become the expert, the person who delivers that information to the client.
100%.
Terry, thank you very, very much for sharing.
Thank
the
you,
insights
Joshy.
Conversation. I love it. It was good. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Terry's made her notes available to anybody who wants them. You sent out an
I sent
email
them out
yesterday,
to the
or
whole.
on the
Yeah, I
computer?
had. They got sent out to all the realtors yesterday. So.
Wow. You don't even have to ask. You just get them. Cool. I want to say thanks to everybody who's already, like Corey, Brian, Omid. People are already filling out the Red Day sheet. So there's lots of boxes. It's don't be limited. Just go crazy. Check your email, KWRI. We get it from Jasmine, your KW news correspondent. She just set out a virtual scavenger hunt that you can share with your clients. So it's pretty freaking cool. So it's like you have 1 minute to go find a toilet paper roll, a mask, hand sanitizer, a DUI project, a DW, a do-it-yourself, not a DUI project. That's different. What are you gonna do? So yeah, there's really cool stuff that's coming out. Just really creative ways for you to keep in touch with your clients. Keep going, keep it up, folks. Let's have some fun with this thing. All right, stay safe, stay healthy, stay hungry.
Rock and roll.
All right, bye-bye.
Great meeting. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Renee. Renee's empty chair.